The great council chamber floated in silence, broken only by the low hum of translation devices. 1,000 alien delegates watched the glowing sphere at the center of the hall. It was a model of Earth, small and fragile in their eyes. The speaker, a tall figure with silver skin, raised his long arm. His voice echoed through the chamber. He said that Earth was becoming too loud, too dangerous, too bold. Humanity was spreading its voice across the stars, and other species were growing restless. Many delegates nodded. They spoke of human broadcasts reaching far systems, of human ships entering trade lanes without permission, of humans refusing to bow to the Empire's rules. One delegate slammed his claw on the desk. He said Earth was a young world. It had no right to speak before the galaxy. He demanded silence. And so the vote was called. The council decreed that Earth must be silenced, its signals blocked, its voice cut. Human words would no longer cross the stars. The decision spread fast. Alien fleets moved to surround human space. Satellites were jammed, transmitters destroyed. Fleets of silver ships cut the voice of humanity as if it were smoke. On Earth, people woke to silence. The stars that once answered them now turned their backs. No signals returned, no trade ships arrived. It was as if the galaxy had erased them. Fear grew, yet so did anger. One man stood in a small underground base. His name was Mark. He was no soldier, he was an engineer. He stared at the dead screens and whispered that they had made a mistake because silence did not break the human spirit. Silence gave it focus. The governments of Earth came together, once divided by borders, now united by insult. Leaders gathered in shadowed rooms. They did not argue over land or money. They spoke of survival and of revenge. Mark worked beside them, his hands building machines that no council had seen before. Humans had been studying the signals of the galaxy for years. They had learned, they had adapted. Now they would answer in their own way. Whispers spread through human bases, words of hidden fleets, words of weapons made not for defense but for retribution. No outsider knew, for the galaxy had turned its eyes away, thinking Earth defeated. Yet at night, in the deserts and mountains, lights moved, ships rose, weapons tested. Earth was no longer calling for peace. Earth was preparing to roar. The silence of the galaxy became a shield. The Empire no longer watched, and that was their mistake. Months passed, and the Council believed Earth forgotten. But on Earth, every child learned the truth. That their voice had been stolen, that their dreams had been caged, and their hearts carried a fire that no silence could quench. Mark stood on the bridge of a hidden ship, its hull black as night, its engines silent as the void. He looked at the stars and whispered that they would soon listen again. The first mission was simple, a listening post on the edge of human space, guarded by alien drones. It was the one that blocked Earth's signals. Mark gave the order. The black ship moved like a shadow. Its weapons flared once, twice, and the alien post turned to dust. For the first time in a year, a signal burst free from Earth. A single message. Sent to the stars, it was not a plea, not a call for help, it was a warning. The message said only 4 words. We hear you now, across the galaxy. Receivers picked it up. Species turned their eyes. The council froze, and fear spread like cold fire, because the silence they had forced was broken, and the voice of humanity was not weak. It was sharp. It was full of anger, and it promised retribution. The delegates whispered in fear. They remembered the vote. They remembered their arrogance, and for the first time they wondered if Earth was not prey but predator. The Empire had tried to silence Earth, but now they would hear the echo of their mistake, and in the shadows of space, more black ships were rising. The message raced through the void. 4 simple words that carried the weight of an entire world. Every receiver, every listening station, every council relay caught it. We hear you now. In the council chamber, silence fell heavier than stone. Delegates who once laughed at Earth now whispered with unease. Some demanded to know how Earth had broken the blockade. Others feared to even ask. The speaker with silver skin slammed his hand on the table. His voice trembled as he called it nothing more than defiance. He said humans had destroyed one post, but they could not resist the Empire. Yet his eyes betrayed doubt, because the Empire knew what the message truly meant. Humans had been working in the dark on Earth. The underground bases were no longer just bases. They were hives of creation. Mark and his team worked without rest. Their machines hummed, sparks flew, and every day a new ship rose from hidden docks. The ships were not large, but they were clever. Their engines made no sound. Their armor was forged from metals the aliens had dismissed as primitive. Yet when tested, those same metals absorbed blasts that should have cut them apart. Human engineers laughed in quiet rooms. They had studied every alien design, every scrap of wreckage from past skirmishes, and they had turned weaknesses into weapons. In the deserts of Africa, in the mountains of Asia, in the forests of South America, ships waited under camouflage nets, their hulls dark against the night. Pilots trained in silence, eyes sharp, hearts harder than steel. The people of Earth carried a memory now, a wound of silence that cut deeper than any war. They were not just fighting for land. They were fighting to speak again, to never be muted. The first strikes began. An alien supply convoy drifted near the rim of human space. 6 silver ships heavy with resources. The black ships of Earth appeared from shadows, moving like hunters. In minutes, the convoy burned. No distress call left the wreckage. Reports reached the council. First whispers, then confirmed losses, the delegates argued. Some demanded stronger fleets. Some wanted peace talks, but no one admitted fear aloud. Yet fear was spreading in hidden bars across the galaxy. Merchants spoke of human ghosts, black ships that vanished in darkness, voices returning from the void, messages carved into destroyed hulls. The words were always the same. We hear you now. Mark sat in the command chair, his face lit by the glow of monitors. He had no joy, only resolve. He told his crew that they were not conquerors. They were not seeking glory. They were returning what was stolen. But he also warned them retaliation would come, and it did. The Empire sent fleets larger than mountains, hundreds of ships bristling with weapons. They moved to crush human space, to burn the black ships before they spread. Earth was ready. Satellites hidden in orbit lit the skies with warnings. Civilians moved into underground shelters. Weapons buried deep rows on command. Earth had been silent too long. Now it would answer. The first battle began above the asteroid belt. The alien fleet entered confident, but the humans did not fight as they expected. Instead of meeting head-on, the black ships scattered, weaving through rocks, striking from shadows. One by one, alien ships turned to fire and ash. The Empire commanders shouted in anger. They called humans cowards. But soon they realized it was not cowardice. It was strategy. The humans were not playing the same game. For every alien ship destroyed, the humans left a signal burst behind. 4 words repeated again and again, we hear you now. Panic spread across the channels. Soldiers who once mocked humanity now trembled at their name. Commanders began to wonder how many black ships there truly were. On Earth? Leaders watched the battle feeds. They did not smile. They knew this was only the beginning. Mark leaned back. In his chair, his voice calm as stone, he said this was not revenge yet. This was only the first reminder. The galaxy had forced silence. Now it would learn the cost of ignoring human voice. The council tried to reassure its people. They declared humanity weak. They declared victory close, but their eyes betrayed doubt. Their sleep betrayed fear, because deep inside, they knew the truth. The silence they forced had created something new. It had created a humanity that spoke, with fire, and the sound of that fire was spreading. The council chamber was no longer calm. What once was a hall of order now shook with shouts. Delegates pointed claws, tendrils, and wings at each other. Fear wrapped every voice. Reports of destroyed convoys filled the screens, supply routes burned, patrol fleets vanished, and always the same 4 words remained in the ashes. We hear you now. The speaker with silver skin tried to steady the chamber. He called for unity. He declared humanity a nuisance that would soon be crushed, but the cracks in his words were clear, because some species had begun to whisper in secret. The smaller worlds, long bullied by the Empire, now looked at Earth with different eyes. They remembered how humanity was silenced, how their voice was cut, and in their hearts they felt the same wound. In hidden channels, messages spread. Some asked humans for contact, some sent fragments of data, quiet offers of trade, and Mark saw it. Inside the underground base, Mark read the transmissions on a dim screen, his eyes narrow. He told his crew that not all the galaxy stood against them. Some were watching, some were waiting, and perhaps some were willing to help. But trust was dangerous, he warned his people, that the same council that silenced Earth would use spies would use betrayal. So every word must be weighed, every ally tested. Meanwhile, the battles grew heavier. The Empire sent a fleet of 50 warships to secure a mining colony near human space. They expected to frighten Earth to show dominance. But when they arrived, the colony was empty. The black ships struck from the shadows, weaving between asteroids, firing in silence. And when the battle ended, 20 alien ships burned, 30 fled in chaos. The miners who once worked the colony returned days later. They found human soldiers, waiting. Not conquerors, but protectors. The miners whispered the story to nearby systems, and soon even more eyes turned to Earth. In the council, fear twisted into anger. The speaker demanded a final solution. He said humanity must be erased completely, their world burned to dust, their people scattered. But another delegate, a thin figure with translucent skin, rose and spoke. He said the Empire had already made one mistake, forcing silence upon Earth. If they now destroyed the planet, they would make humanity into legend, and legends never die. The chamber erupted. Some agreed, some shouted. Others demanded war without end. But in the corners of the galaxy, small voices began to say something new. They said perhaps the humans were not monsters. Perhaps they were the mirror the council feared. On Earth, preparations deepened. Cities became fortresses. Schools taught children not only history, but resilience. Every person felt part of something larger. Every hand building, every mind planning. Mark stood on the bridge of his black ship, looking out into the endless stars. He told his crew that the council's fear was a weapon, that every whisper of doubt inside the Empire was a seed, and Earth would let those seeds grow. Soon another signal left Earth, this one longer, it said. You tried to silence us, but silence made us stronger. We will not bow, we will not vanish. We will speak, and you will listen. The signal was caught across the galaxy, replayed in hidden bars, in quiet homes, even in military bases. Some laughed nervously, some trembled, but many listened in silence. The council could not stop it, and for the first time not all their citizens obeyed their command to ignore it. Rumors spread that in distant sectors alien soldiers refused orders to fire on human ships. Captains hesitated, fearing what retaliation might come. The Empire tried to cover it, but cracks were showing, because fear was no longer only in the council chamber. It had entered the streets of their worlds. Mark understood it well. He told his people that battles were not only fought with weapons, but with stories, and humanity's story was spreading faster than any fleet could fly. And as he spoke, far away, a small world under council rule lowered its flags and raised a human one instead. A spark of rebellion had begun. The council could no longer hide. The truth. Fleets lost, convoys burned, colonies whispering of human protection. The chamber that once rang with laughter now trembled with fear. The speaker with silver skin stood before the delegates. His voice cracked as he shouted that Earth must be crushed in one strike, not small battles, not blockades, but a storm that would leave nothing behind. Many agreed, yet others hesitated. They remembered the growing whispers of rebellion, the miners, the soldiers who refused orders, the people who replayed human messages in secret. One delegate, a short creature with glowing eyes, asked a dangerous question. He asked if perhaps silencing Earth had been the true mistake. The chamber erupted. His voice was cut, but his words had already spread. Meanwhile, in the dark corners of the galaxy, small ships docked with human stations. Secret trades began. Fuel, data, even weapons quietly moved across borders. Species tired of empire control found in humanity a symbol. Mark saw the shipments arrive, his face lit by the glow of hidden docks. He told his crew to use caution. Trust had to be earned, but he also said that every ally, no matter how small, made Earth stronger. Black ships multiplied, no longer only Earth's work, but the work of hands from distant worlds. Humans taught them design, taught them silence, taught them patience, and patience was humanity's sharpest blade. But the council had no patience. Their great fleets gathered, hundreds of warships forming a line of fire. Their goal was clear. They would march to Earth. They would end the voice of humanity forever. Yet even as they prepared, the Empire could feel resistance building. Planets that once obeyed began to falter, taxes unpaid, soldiers refusing to fight, governors turning blind eyes. The fear of humanity had become a spark of hope on Earth. Leaders watched the movement of the Empire fleet. Satellites hidden in the void sent streams of data. Screens glowed with paths of incoming warships. Mark stood with them, his voice steady. He told them that the Empire was stronger in numbers, but not in will. He said the Empire fought to keep control, but humanity fought because their voice had been stolen, and that difference could break an empire. Preparations began in silence. Every black ship armed, every hidden weapon loaded, civilian shelters filled. Children whispered the 4 words as prayers. We hear you now. In the days before the invasion, a strange thing happened. Messages arrived from 3 alien worlds, not offers of trade but of loyalty. They declared they would no longer serve the Empire. They would stand with Earth. The Council panicked. They called it treason. They sent threats, but the threats sounded weaker than before. When the Empire fleet finally moved, its shadow covered the stars. Hundreds of ships burning bright, their guns ready to fire. Earth did not meet them alone. From the darkness, ships rose, not just human, but allied, patched together fleets of small worlds flying the mark of rebellion. The Empire laughed at first. They called it a weak force, but when battle began, laughter turned to screams. The black ships danced through the fleet, striking at weak points. Allies followed, hitting, supply lines forcing chaos. The Empire fought with fire, but fire cannot kill shadows. Mark's ship cut through the void, his voice calm over the comms. He told his pilots to strike and vanish, to never give the Empire a clear target. And the Empire fell into confusion. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more appeared. For every victory the Empire claimed, 10 more losses followed. The battle stretched for hours. The void lit with fire, until the Empire commander realized the truth. They had not come to silence Earth. They had come to wake a galaxy, and the galaxy was listening. When the first Empire flagship fell, its wreckage burning across the stars, a signal burst from the human fleet. You cannot silence us, the words echoed through open channels. Every soldier, every world, every hidden ear heard it. On distant planets, uprisings began. Flags torn down, council statues shattered. The Empire's grip was loosening. Mark watched the chaos unfold, his hand steady on the controls. He told his crew that this was not victory yet. It was the storm before it. The Empire would not stop, but neither would Earth. Because once a voice is stolen, it never forgets. And now, humanity spoke for more than itself. It spoke for every silenced world, and the galaxy was beginning to answer. The Empire fleet limped away, broken, scarred, its pride shattered. What was once the most feared armada in the galaxy had been torn apart by shadows, by black ships that should not have existed in the council chamber. Chaos ruled. Delegates shouted over one another. Some demanded total war. Others whispered of surrender. The speaker with silver skin slammed his hand down again and again, but his voice no longer carried the weight it once did, because fear had taken root across the galaxy. Entire colonies refused to obey. Uprisings spread like fire in dry grass. Statues of the Empire toppled. Flags were burned, and in the ruins of rebellion, the same 4 words appeared on walls. We hear you now. Humanity had become more than a world. It had become a symbol on Earth. Celebrations rose, but they were quiet, restrained. Mark stood on the bridge of his ship. He looked at the faces of his crew and told them the fight was not over. The Empire was wounded, but a wounded beast was the most dangerous. Plans shifted. Defense was no longer enough. Humanity would carry the fight outward, not to conquer, but to end the Empire's grip. Mark's black fleet moved deeper into space, striking command posts, cutting supply routes, freeing worlds that begged for release. Every victory added more allies. Every ally added more strength. Soon the Empire realized it was not facing one enemy. It was facing hundreds. Still, the Council tried to hold control. They sent messages of unity. They promised revenge. But no one listened. Even their own soldiers doubted. Fleets deserted, commanders hesitated. Fear spread through the very heart of their power. One night, deep in human command, a message arrived. It was not from an ally, not from a rebel, but from inside the council itself. A delegate whose people had suffered under the Empire for centuries. The message was simple. Strike now, their walls are breaking. Mark read it in silence, then looked at his crew. He told them that humanity did not choose this war, but now it was theirs to finish, not just for Earth, but for every silenced voice. In the galaxy, the Black Fleet gathered with allies larger than ever. Ships of strange designs flew beside human ones. Patchwork vessels armed with weapons never meant to fight. Now pointed at the Empire's core, their target was the capital, the shining jewel of the Empire, a planet covered in towers of glass and steel, home to the council chamber itself. As they advanced, the Empire gathered its last strength. The skies above the capital filled with fleets, every ship they could muster, every weapon pointed outward. The final battle began. The Empire fought with desperation. Fire filled the void, but the humans and their allies fought with something deeper. They fought with memory, with anger, with the promise of never being silenced again. Mark's ship cut through the fire, striking command vessels, guiding allies with calm orders. His voice steady even as the battle raged. He told them to aim not at strength but at weakness, not at walls, but at cracks. And cracks spread fast. Some Empire ships turned against their own, refusing to fire on rebels. Some even joined the fight. The Council watched in horror as their control slipped away before their very eyes. Then came the moment. The great tower that housed the Council chamber shook as explosions lit the skies. Above the capital, broadcasts carried it across the galaxy. The very leaders who once laughed at humanity now cowered in their seats. A signal burst from Mark's ship, carried on every open channel. His voice said, "You tried to silence us, but we are not silent. We are the voice of every world you crushed, and we will not stop until the galaxy is free." The words echoed across millions of systems, and for the first time, no one dared to cut them on the ground below. Rebels stormed the streets of the capital. Citizens rose with them. The Empire's soldiers laid down their weapons. The towers of control burned. The speaker with silver skin stood at the window of the council chamber, his hands shaking. He whispered that they had made a mistake, but his words were too late. The age of silence was ending, and in its place rose the roar of humanity.